Hey guys, Red Pen Mining here. Hope you're doing well, having a really great day. This video, some of you may not have a great day, or some of you will have a great day, depending if you have a lot of GPUs for GPU AI rental. And so this could affect this whole market here in terms of people that are renting out their GPUs right now. I have a feeling that rental prices could start going up because NVIDIA has decided to hike up the prices for their 50 series GPUs. And so this could affect the GPU AI rental market for those that watch my channel, for those that are into the whole, GPU rental. I feel like this could raise the market. So we're going to talk about that today, go through just the GPU price trends for a bunch of GPUs like the infamous 5090, which is now well over $4,500, which is absolutely insanity. So for anyone that has a bunch of these, congrats to you. I don't know if, some of you may be selling these now because they're obviously much more in price, or maybe you're renting them out to make a decent amount of money on them, which, again, we're going to talk about this throughout this video, if these could potentially be worth even more for GPU AI rentals. So we'll see if that is the case. So also going to talk about my 170HXs. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about my sales as well. Potentially if these cards could maybe go up even more in the future because of a certain capacitor mod, a power stage mod that some people are doing on these, and unlocking X16 lanes. So we'll talk about that all after today's video sponsor. If you've been following the channel, you know I've been getting more and more interested in AI GPU compute, running LLMs, and actually owning the hardware instead of relying completely on the cloud. And that's exactly where AIpowered.com comes in. AI Powered is focused on hardware that's powering modern AI, everything from GPUs and servers to AI PCs, edge AI hardware, and enterprise systems. They carry the hardware from some of the biggest names in the industry, including NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Asus, Gigabyte, PNY, and more. And we're talking about some serious hardware here, including the RTX Pro 6000, NVIDIA H100, H200, and DGX systems. But not only that, they have Hardware Index and Cloud Index. The Hardware Index is a great place to research current AI hardware and compare the specifications that actually matter when you're trying to figure out what hardware makes sense for your workload. And if you don't want to buy the hardware yet, you can check out their Cloud Index. You can use it to explore available cloud compute options and figure out what makes sense for you, renting compute or eventually bringing that compute in-house. And that's especially interesting if you're experimenting with AI, running LLMs, doing inference, or building your own AI lab. AIpowered.com tests the systems on real LLM workloads, so you're not just buying the hardware based on a spec sheet. They currently have over 1,200 builds supplied, more than 40 brands stocked, and 24/7 human support. So whether you are looking for your first AI GPU, building your home AI lab, putting together a rack-mounted server, or planning a much larger deployment, go check out AIpowered.com. Machines for the age of intelligence. Okay, so I'm on PCMag.com. They have an article here. RTX GPU prices jumped 30% overnight. So this was about, just yesterday as of recording. And apparently 5070s are hitting $900, which is absolutely wild. Okay, that is very expensive. And I can attest to this because I looked on Amazon in Canada and it's like $1,100 Canadian for a freaking 5070, which is just brutal. So looking at the article here, they said the 5050 is now 5% more expensive at $315. And then the 5060 is at 27% more expensive at $470 now. The 5060 Ti 8GB is now 13% more expensive at $530. 1560 Ti 16GB, which is 39%, now averaging $805 US. Oh, and I looked on Amazon in Canada, it's like $1,200, $1,100, which is just crazy. The 5070 is 36% more expensive at $900. And I forgot to mention, the reason why I think the 5060 Ti has gone up more is because of this. You guys can see the VRAM, the 16 gigabytes of VRAM is obviously going to be the most expensive part because of all the large language modeling, all that kind of stuff. So VRAM is very important. Anyway, 5070, 36% more expensive at $900. 5070 Ti, they say here, is the only card not to see a price increase. Interesting, but it's still $1,100. The 5080 is up 3%, now priced at around $1,500. The 5080 always had 16 gigabytes of VRAM. I can see why the 5080 hasn't really gone up because I think really majority of people want the 5090, but it obviously it cost 3 times more now. So 5090 has increased 9% with a median price of $4,700 now. Man, I remember buying my 5090 back in January when it was like, I think I bought it for like $2,400 or something. Now it's $4,700. Yeah, so I'm looking at here on PC partpicker.com, they have the average price of all the GPUs here, which have, like, if you look at the graphs on their website, which I'll have a link down below, anyone can look at this. This is all public information. They've all been going up. So anyway, let's look at the 5090. Okay, so back in January of when I bought mine, for instance, it was between 2,000 or 2,200, 2,500 bucks. So it was, I bought it pretty much when it was the lowest of the low, but then the prices started to climbing up. Say end of January, beginning of February, started to really climb up here. And so, yeah, 3,500 bucks. And it's pretty much stood there for the past couple months. But then at beginning of June, then it spiked up to like almost $4,000. Okay. It stood there all the way till July, or from beginning of June all the way to end of July. Now it's August. Okay. And mid-August here, it's bumped up to 4,700 bucks, which is just crazy now for the 5090. And it makes sense because the 5090 is a pretty prominent GPU for, I guess, for a lot of people that want to run large language models locally at home, or maybe for people that are doing it as a business and running these for GPU rental. Hence, which you guys have seen on my channel many times. I'm into the whole GPU rental thing. I have a lot of, maybe older GPUs, not necessarily 5090s, but I got, a bunch of 4090s. I do have one 5090 and a bunch of plethora of other GPUs like my 178Xs as well, which you guys have been seeing a lot of content on. But anyways, the pinnacle GPU for people that have been buying these for, let's say for Vast, for instance, there's over 5,059 rented right now, okay, on Vast.ai, almost 80% occupancy, about, as of recording, 1,340 that are available to rent. So there's over 6,300 5090s on this platform, and it's just insanity. That is just incredible. And the median price for the rented ones right now at 5,059 5090s, median price there is about 35 cents per hour rented for the 5090s. So 35 cents. I mean, that's not bad. I think the rental prices of these have been coming down over the past half year, but I believe over time, these are going to go up. But actually, if we look at AIpowered.com, they are a new title sponsor of the channel. So thanks to them. Under their cloud index portion here, I'm just looking at the 5090s, and there are other platforms that are renting these out, and it's not just Vast. So there's a lot of private platforms out there that are renting out the 5090s, or people that are on these platforms that are renting out 5090s for higher than normal. So for instance, like RunPod, they're at 69 on average here. What is this? Cesters? Oh, these are 2 by 5090s, $1.43 or 72 cents per 5090. So there's some of these platforms out there that are renting much higher than Vast, obviously, because some of these platforms are private. They want dual internet, they want maybe SOC 2 compliance, they want backup generator, gas generator, UPSs, dual internet, all this stuff, right? So it makes sense as to why some of these platforms are charging more for the 5090s. But now that we have this price increase for the 5090, I have a feeling if, let's just say Vast, for instance, all the 5090s could become unavailable and 100% rented. If that's the case, then the rental price for the 5090s could probably go up. Well, I mean, actually any GPU for that matter. Really, truly anything could go up. There's plenty of other GPUs that are out there that are also having some demand as well. I mean, you can do the research on hashrate.no, do it on aipower.com. You can see that there are a lot of GPUs out there now. But another thing is that there are plenty of people out there who are utilizing this stuff because maybe they just can't run it at home, right? They don't want to go out and buy. They're definitely not going to go out and buy, a 5090 now at these prices because it's just way too expensive. The barrier to entry for somebody to build one of these machines at home is just going to get further. It's just going to get further and further out. Like, as I make, AI, GPU rental content, it's kind of hard for me to like recommend people to get into this because the pricing for this hardware and especially RAM and stuff, building the PC or building the, Gen 5 PCIe 5.0 rig it gets expensive. The RAM itself, you need at least system memory, 64 gigs, to couple with a 5090 in case somebody's going to do some training on this as well, not just large language modeling. But it is extremely expensive now to get into this, and I guess this kind of ties into my 170HX stuff now. So as you all know, I do have a bunch of 170HXs. I have 118 left. I've sold 20 thus far. I have earned about $26,558.06 USD, or 37,000 Canadian for my Canadian friends. This is how much money I've made thus far selling these GPUs, and it's wild. It's pretty crazy as to what has happened with the 170HX because of the unlock. Okay, for those that don't know, link down below if you want more info about it. But right now, it basically unlocks these to 64 gigs because the 8 gigabyte cards, which have Hynix memory, the HBM2E memory that's in these, which is, I believe, it's on the GPU die. They're not, individual memory chips. It's on the die itself. They're like plattered, I believe. Don't quote me on that. There's like levels of HBM like on top of each other or something like that. Anyway, what matters the most is that these can be unlocked to 64 gig just by running a script on Linux. There's a GitHub repo for it. Again, link down below if you want to learn more information about it. And now there is the capacitor unlock for these as well. Or well, that's been around since the beginning of the unlocker information. So people have been getting them unlocked. Stay tuned. I just received a 170HX from China, an 8 gigabyte one that has the X16 lanes. Okay, there was a capacitor mod, and I don't know what else they've done to it, but I'm going to be testing that soon, and I'll have a video out about that very soon. But the 170HXs, if the PCIe X16 lanes could give a bit more, I guess, bandwidth on the PCIe lane front. I have a feeling that these GPUs could be worth even more. And some people are still paying well over $1,300 for these. And I have a feeling because now that the 50 series are going up in price, the 170HXs could probably start going up in price as well. So I'm going to have to raise my prices on my website for these things. And, I'm thinking about getting all my GPUs unlocked, the X16 unlocked, doing the capacitor mod or whatever else that needs to be done on it. It could be lucrative. It could be insane, right? And really good for large language modeling, which again, it goes back to the demand for AI stuff is continuing to go up. More and more people are getting into this, right? More and more people are utilizing AI, maybe just building systems locally and, not having to, pay monthly subscription for Claude or ChatGPT, all that kind of stuff. People are building their own systems at home. Hence why, the sales that I've done, everyone that I've talked to, everyone who I've sold these to are doing some type of LLM locally at home. And that's the power of the 170HXs, which I truly believe that these cards, because of the 64 gigs of VRAM ability on these versus like a 5090, which, 5090 is $4,800 now, $4,500 on Newegg here, which is just wild. Like, let me know what you guys think. This is just crazy. I truly think that anyone that's getting into AI GPU rental right now, it's only going to be with people that have this stuff already and are actually making good money from it. They're going to just keep on winning, getting that money, getting that profit, able to put it in buying more GPUs. It's just wild what's happening right now. And I think this is probably it's getting worse. I mean, it's been continually getting worse for the 5090 pricing since the beginning of this year. So the demand for this stuff, and NVIDIA raising the prices of their GPUs, I don't know when it's going to end, right? AI buyers, global shortages have pushed prices into the extreme. When is it going to stop? Like, when is all of this going to stop? I don't know. It's just the demand for hardware, for higher VRAM GPUs, for AI workloads, LLM, local large language modeling at home. This is going to probably continue to keep going. I don't know when it's going to end. You guys tell me. Like I'm just trying to think out of my head here. Like, what could like catastrophically end, GPU renting and all that kind of stuff? Maybe, I don't know, maybe a new GPU that doesn't require, or maybe large language modeling that doesn't require a lot of VRAM. I mean, I thought we heard about that before, but I think there's newer models that are requiring more and more VRAM. And I feel like it's just getting bigger and bigger, and people are trying to get more higher VRAM GPUs to run these large language models at home. when's it going to end? When's someone going to come out with something that, you don't really need, a 5090 or, RTX Pro 6000 or any of these. You can just utilize a freaking like RTX 3070 or something like that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of people who do. I think there are some stuff out there that you could utilize lower end GPUs, but I guess the performance is just obviously not as great as a 5090, obviously. But anyways, I'm just rambling at this point. I don't know what the solution is. This is getting worse. It depends if you think it's worse or great, and depending on your situation. In my situation, I guess it's a good thing. I'm just kind of empathizing to people that don't have this kind of stuff, people that don't have this hardware right now. You're you're probably just like, how can I participate? Because the prices just keep going up. I mean, yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of the capitalist society that we live in. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. And yeah, this is a fun time that we're in right now. And we are living in it right now. So, but I'll see you all in the next one. Let me know your thoughts. Have a good one. Peace out.